Hi everybody, my name is Valerie Henderson and I am your LexisNexis rep. I've been with law schools, with law students for about 21 years, so I feel like I have a pretty good grasp on the challenges that you guys face and what's important to you. And I did practice law for 3 years as well before coming to Lexis. So today, the purpose of the class is to kind of just get your feet wet on Lexis, an introduction. What can I want to be able to show you how to navigate through cases and cite lists. And at the end of the class, I'd like you to feel like, yeah, I got this. I know how to do some things and I feel good using Lexis, and Lexis is pretty straightforward and easy. So that's what I want for you at the end. And right now we are going to go ahead and dive right in. So we're going to start with the following. How do you pull a case on Lexis? There's 2 ways to do it. I'm going to start here. This is the beginning screen that you always see when you log on. I'm going to click right here and I'm just going to search by party name. The party name is probably a case you're familiar with, is Hammer, and then I'm going to pay V. Sidway. Okay, you guys probably remember this. This had to do with this man paying his $1,000 so that they wouldn't smoke. Okay, here's the case. Now this is what all our cases look like. Where do you go and what's important for you to concentrate on? So as you see here, this kind of gives you just like a bunch of introductory stuff about the case. As you scroll down, you will see our case summary. The case summaries are really helpful for law students to help them understand what their case is actually talking about. Yeah, I'm sure you've experienced this already. Sometimes you're like reading 5 pages in and you're totally like spacing out. So this will kind of help you anchor yourself so that you already have an idea about what's going on with the case before you read it. So you can go on here, search by party name like we did, and pull up the case summary. So what this is procedural. We break it into 3 pieces. So this is procedural posture, which basically means like the history of the case. How did it get here in the first place? That kind of, ties into like when you're briefing a case for class, they ask you for that kind of thing. This is the overview, which is the factual and legal overview of the case. And then this is how the court held. These are written by LexisNexis attorney editors, and their purpose of them is to help you understand the case and also to help you figure out if this case is on point for you when doing legal research. Once you get past that, you move down into the LexisNexis headnotes. These are the major points of law that are discussed in the case that are organized here by legal topic. They can be very helpful in understanding what your professor might be focusing on in class. They're not editorialized, they're the actual words of the court, and so you can tell what the big issues are inside the case. So if I wanted to read more about forbearance, for instance, which was actually a fairly large issue in this case, I can click here on the pull down arrow, read more about it, and then I can zip back up to the top like that. So those are the 2 things I want to focus on in the case. The second way that you can pull a case, right, I did it by party name. The second way you can do it is by citation. So notice here, this is the citation of the case. It'll be in all your case books. You can just plug in the citation here. You click search, and you'll get the exact same case that we just looked at. Here you go. So that's 1. How do you pull a case? Pretty straightforward. 2, how do you do basic search on Lexis? I want to find out if, I have a legal issue and I want to research it. So this is how you do it, okay? You can always start up here, or you can go back to the beginning here if you choose, but most people just kind of do it up here. So let's say you are interested in what is going on with cell phone tracking. Can the police track a person to figure out their whereabouts for a crime, and does that violate the 4th Amendment? So all I need to do is just kind of have an understanding of some key words. Cell phone, want to know if tracking violates the 4th Amendment. I just stick it all in and I click search. Now, oftentimes you don't want to search everything, which is what this is. you only want to search a specific jurisdiction. So you can narrow it down here by court. And I say, you know what, I just want federal court because this is a federal issue. Sometimes see here, you can just pick California. So the filters on the side that we're covering right now, oh wait, let me do that again. These are going to help you narrow down your answer sets. So sometimes you're going to get a ton of cases and you want to use the filters to kind of get the best cases to bubble up to the top for you. So the first thing I could do is focus on jurisdiction. I can also do publication status. I can focus on reported cases. These are the ones that I get to cite in my brief. So that's going to weed out half just by doing that. And then you'll see here that there's a lot of other ways that you can slice and dice your cite list. The other key one I'd like to bring up though is search within results. This lets you do a little mini search and focus on some keywords inside your search that you just did up top. Okay, it's called search within results. So let's say within here, I want to focus on this concept of the police. Okay, so I just type police, that's my keyword, and then I click here. So I can do a lot of narrowing and slicing and dicing my cite list before I even click into one case. Now I can think about the cases that I might want to click into. Actually, you know what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just delete out police. That was just for example. And I'm going to keep it like this. Okay, so now what do I do? Okay, I've done my filtering, and now I'm going to look at the cases. How do I figure out if a case is on point for me? What I want you to do is this. There's two different ways you can approach this. Number one, you can look at the cite list. You can look at number one, we can look at number two, number three, and what you'll see here is that these are where, see how up here there's like we color-coded all your terms. So that way you can tell where your search terms appear in the case and if you want to read it. So here's where cell phone appears. And then let's say you're really only interested in track. You can click straight to the orange and see where this concept of tracking is being used. And it's a really good way for you to quickly identify, is this a case that's on point for me, or is this not a case that's on point for me? And if you like it, then you can click straight in. I really like using this. This really helps attorneys stay more efficient in their research and get through cite lists more quickly. The second thing that you can do is this. Okay, so this is a traditional cite list, kind of the way all legal research is been organized, or even if you're searching on Google, it just kind of numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like this. The other way I want you to think about this is Ravel View. What Ravel does is it takes the top 75 cases on my cite list over here. I'm going to click it now, and it reorganizes it in a visual format. And what it's allowing you to do is see the major cases right away. We like to say that this is the quickest way to find on-point cases. If you just want to throw in some search terms up here, click on Ravel, and then see the largest circles. Traditionally, how this works is the larger the circle, the more on point that case is. That's not right. The more influential that case is in the area of law in which it was decided. So here's the Katz case. Over here is the Leon case. And way over here in the corner is the Carpenter case. Now, I'd like to point out a couple things about this that are worth noting. Notice these are all in the Supreme Court. So generally speaking, the Supreme Court is going to lay out the major points of law. So we go from Supreme Court to circuit, district, and then down here at the bottom, we do it by date. So if you want to see what the most recent interpretation of the Katz case is, you can tell that there's a direct line going from Katz over here to Carpenter. And Carpenter is in fact the most recent case that has talked about cell phone tracking. This is why this circle is not quite as big, because it takes a little time for the circles to grow the more they get cited by other cases, the more the circle grows. So what is really cool about Ravel is that you can tell in a second, okay, this case, I'm going to read this one, and this one right now because I know that it's in the Supreme Court. Then once you figure out that, you can then drop down, this is so cool, into the lower courts, and you can say, well, how are lower courts interpreting Carpenter? Carpenter, remember, was my most recent case. You go down here and you can check on these smaller little bubbles that we know are the most recent because of the way the dates work. And we go from here and see this yellow line that's connected. This basically means, oh wait, I didn't mean to do that. Sorry. This basically is showing the connection between this case, which connects to Carpenter, which you can tell connects to Katz. So what all these lines do, they're basically a web that is showing you the interconnection of cases. It really is impossible to see this anywhere else, and it makes legal research make a lot more sense when you can see how cases are related to each other, and it also makes it go more quickly and more efficiently for you because you can click right over here on Ravel View and you can see the courts and how the cases. The big ones, the larger the circle, the more influential that case. And then you can kind of go down through there, and then you can go to the circuit court and see the same thing, which are the larger circles that are interpreting the Supreme Court. So that is Ravel View. And let me just tell you again, it's over here. I'm going to click back on my standard view, which is over here, just so you can see kind of how you get back to Lexis. Okay, so when you log on to Lexis, because this is all we're going to cover today, when you log on to Lexis, it looks like this, okay? And then from here, we can put in any kind of search terms. We can search by party name. We can search by site. We can search over here by just a general basic search. So that's what I had covered for you today. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, and we will cover additional research tips and strategy later on as you get more in depth into the research in your research class. So thanks so much for coming. I really appreciate it. As I said, I'm here for questions if you're interested. Thanks again.